Is there somebody in your life, a friend, that you would have today that if, for example, you got separated from this friend for 5 years or 10 years, and then you saw each other, that you could say, it feels like yesterday that I saw you. Or it just feels like we lost nothing of that friendship. Is there somebody in your life today? Think about it for a minute. Or would after 5 years you be so estranged, like, I have no idea who that person is, what they're like. We have to start over. Often I've had funerals in the parish, and grieving is painful. Especially a child. Losing a child is the greatest pain on earth. But grieving a loved one, very difficult. And in today's gospel, as the apostles are watching Jesus go, they're grieving their best friend. Their best friend. But there's something different about this one. Something different. So at funerals, I will often hear things like, Bob is not really going. He stays with us always in our hearts. And that kind of erases the fact that, no, Bob is gone. Okay? He's gone. Or you might hear in a eulogy something like, Tim is up there playing golf just like he did every Sunday morning. Did you catch that Sunday morning? Up there playing golf or bowling, or Betty's up there making pies like she always did. Is heaven about our favorite hobby? That seems to erase the reality of judgment and the significance of what heaven really is. The profundity of a beatific vision. You know, I don't want to golf in heaven. I want to look at God and love. To lose a loved one, but to gain a loved one can be incredibly joyful, the latter. Is there a friend? Have you said goodbye to a friend from 5th grade because the family moved to, Florida or Japan or wherever, and saw them 10 years later? What did that feel like? We can easily, grow estranged if our bond is hobbies. As St. Thomas Aquinas says, those who are a community in evil really have no brotherhood or sisterhood at all. That's false friendship entirely. Friendships are a gift, but there's a certain kind I have found that if I might not see them for years and see them again suddenly, it's like very little was lost. I mean, I'm dying to know what happened in the last few years, but I feel this tremendous bond. For me, one of those bonds I experienced with, I was on a net team once, 1987, and there were 11 other college-age kids, half men, half women. We traveled doing retreats for a whole year. And we went through this beautiful experience where God was pouring out His grace upon high schoolers, and we were praying together every day. And I tell you what, if I see those guys, and my teammates now are living everywhere from California and to Ireland and in between, and we don't see or talk necessarily a lot, but if I saw them today, I would feel like we're in love just like we were. Sometimes relationships require an effort. I was very edified by a man who works for the development office at the major seminary, Joe Lichty. And he was sharing with me that he was looking across this whole week, and he did a little chart of what his activities were. And at the end of the week, he wanted to look back to see what were the most important things he gave himself to, and he judged it by the amount of time he gave to a certain activity, work or working out or study or whatever it was. And he discovered that week, he had only spent 5 minutes communicating with his wife outside of please pass the butter. 5 minutes of serious conversation. All right? And so that's what he decided to do. I thought it was the most creative thing. I'd never heard of it before. He said, we got a babysitter for the morning. And we went on a date from 7 till 8:30 in the morning because that's the time that worked. And I thought, wow. I thought, that is great. I mean, who thinks about that? You know, dates Friday night, Saturday night, you know, get the babysitter. But he was awake in the morning. It was a good time. It was the one time that worked. So they actually started doing dates in the morning. And he said sometimes we just grab our Cheerios and we go to a park and we'd sit on the picnic bench and we'd eat our Cheerios and we would talk, have their date. So, I mean, it's very romantic. But what is so edifying is his commitment to that most significant relationship, you know, and he didn't want it to fall away. What is the deepest bond? What is the kind of relationship we could have that if we didn't see someone for 10 years and we saw him again, we'd say, wow, the love between us, it's still there. It's not based on hobbies. It's not based even on past experiences together, even though can be very wonderful. It's based on charity, which is God inside the heart, which is the love of the Holy Spirit inside the heart. When you and I have a heart beating with the same stuff, that creates the most significant bond. Cardinal Newman's motto in life was cor ad cor loquitur, heart-to-heart conversing. And when he gave his homilies, the thing he wanted most of all was that people's hearts would be captured by God's love and that they would beat with the same love as his. So many times in friendships can be superficial, sometimes can be very good things, working alongside someone, very profound experience. But to share God's love in the heart, now that's the kind of friendship that 10 years later you can still enjoy because you have maintained it with God all the while. Now in the gospel, Jesus is ascending into heaven and he's saying you will grieve for a while but then you will rejoice. In truth, he never really fully went away. Different from the funeral eulogies I talked about earlier, because he said, I'm going to dwell in your heart. And as I dwell in your heart and your brothers and your sisters' hearts, you will be one with me. Wouldn't it be wonderful, young people, as you finish up this spring semester? Some of you will be graduating, some already have. There will be some tears of saying goodbye to friends. But wouldn't it be wonderful if 10 years from now, somebody sitting next to you in the pew today, a friend of yours, maybe separated by job, moving away, reunited, you could say, our love is still deep. Our friendship could be as if we saw each other yesterday.